can for Ken Hamlett.
I gained 30 pounds. This kid walked up to me while I was working at the Boys and Girls Club, and he rubbed my belly like this. Swear to God, he was like, Mr. Ken, you're getting fat. I was like, fuck you. You don't have a dad. I got fired. I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna be a comic now. I think this. I hate kids, man. I feel like it's a good time to tell y'all that I got a kid at home. Oh, dude, does anybody else have kids? Somebody wooed earlier, you got kids? Y'all sound happy too. How old are your kids? Were they planned? Why did it take so long to figure that out? He looked at her and he was like, No, it's the thing about having kids, like, even if you plan, you're still not prepared. You know what I mean? Like, we saved up for years. We bought a house. We bought diapers all the way up to a year-old. We had a room filled with diapers. Like, we thought we were prepared. There's a lot of stuff they don't tell you about having kids before you have kids. Like, for instance, if you're dark-skinned, which is only 7 of us in here tonight. All right. Shout out to the BSU out here. If you're dark skinned, your kid could be born with little to no melanin. Do you guys know that? Yeah. Okay, so you guys don't know what melanin is? I got you guys. I'll explain it. Melanin, for the people that don't know, melanin is what makes good basketball players. He don't want to laugh. He's like, my uncle said something like that at Thanksgiving one time. Fucked up dinner. It was an emotional time when we had our kid. Like, I was crying. Like, I cried for real. My wife, she gave birth to our children, and I cried. I was really emotional. And she hands the baby over to me, and she was like, oh my goodness, babe, look what we created. And this is my firstborn son. He's gonna carry my genetic code forever. Like, my genetic code will just be out there forever. I gotta stop doing that when I say. I just got a little bit on you. It's all right. It's an emotional time. I cried, and she hands the baby over to me. She's like, look what we created. And I'm emotional, and I'm crying, and I get my son, this is my firstborn son, in my hands for the first time, and I wipe my eyes, and I looked down at him, and I was like, oh my goodness, babe, it's not my baby. It's like, whose Puerto Rican baby is this? I was walking around with him in the hospital like he was a messed up order at McDonald's. I was like, excuse me, this is not my order. Somebody messed up back here. This is not mine. And I'm trying to be, like, now we've moved out to the suburbs. Now I lived in Chicago, and I was like, I didn't know. Like, we moved out to Chicago, and I'm not from Chicago. In my mind, I was like, the north side of Chicago is safe. That's what everybody says. So I moved up to the north side of Chicago, and it's like, it's winter time. It's March. For whatever fucking reason, it's still winter in Chicago in March. And the snow's on the ground, and then around April, the snow starts melting. And then that's when all the GDs start sprouting up like spring flowers. Oh, you guys don't know what GDs are. That's when all the gang members start coming out. I was like, I gotta move away from here. So we moved out to the suburbs, and now I'm a full, like, suburb dude. Like, I'm so suburban. Like, my son plays lacrosse. Like, that's how. Y'all are like, why do you have that little Puerto Rican boy playing lacrosse? But it's like, for me, I'm like, do you know what the top schools are for lacrosse? It's like Syracuse, Duke, North Carolina, Stanford. Like, these are schools with, like, great histories. They're gonna open up doors that my family has never had doors to before. You know, so he's gonna get these opportunities. And then other little black and Puerto Rican kids will look up to him. and be like, wow, if he did it, I can do it. And then he's gonna generate more like wealth for our families. We'll never have to ever worry about our families being poor again. And I also love watching little white kids cry as my son scores over and over. They're just like, Mommy, he's too fast. She's like, it's all right, Kyler, we'll go play something else.